Hey everybody, welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm your host Robert Durden, and this episode is going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm going to be whooping on Liz Warren because she keeps doing dumbass shit. So her new book is coming out, and it's called Persist, and it's about her campaign, and it's over 300 pages long. It's going to be absolutely insufferable. So it hasn't come out yet, but I read the New York Times article that was kind of covering the book because it's coming out next week, and they had like an early copy. A lot of these publications get the stuff early. And apparently it is just littered with excuses for losing that hinge upon sexism. Meaning she thinks that she lost the primaries because the average Democratic voter in this country is too afraid to try to run another woman against Donald Trump because they think that Hillary Clinton being a woman was what made her lose. Apparently Liz Warren does not think very highly of the average voter in this country, particularly Democratic voters, to which she's referring to, because that is the dumbest shit ever, and that is absolutely not why Hillary Clinton lost. And if you had run with the right substance, with the right policy proposals, it would have been to your advantage to be a woman, I think. If Bernie was a woman, his chances would have been much better, even against Trump. Everybody knew Trump was a chauvinist going into 2024. It was to anybody's advantage to be a woman to run against Trump. So that is the dumbest shit ever. Now, I'm going to explain to you exactly why Elizabeth Warren lost. And it has absolutely nothing to do with these cliched bullshit, identity politics stuff that she always goes back to. Okay, so what Liz Warren did that was the real problem was that she chose a lane between Bernie and the rest of the flock. Like, she wanted to be, slightly more towards higher taxes on the wealthy, maybe a public option, or even Medicare for All, which she was talking about early on and then abandoned. She wanted to position herself right between the Berners and, the rest of the Bookers and the Klobuchars and the Buttigieg and the Harrises, the centrists. And she assumed that she would be able to pick off people from Bernie's camp that were maybe a little more moderate, and that she would be able to also pick off the overlap from the centrists that maybe did want a little bit higher taxes on the wealthy, stuff like that, higher middle class and upper class people that maybe weren't super wealthy, that were a little more middle class. And that's what she ended up getting mostly, was just kind of higher educated upper middle class people from the suburbs was where she was doing very, very well. But that's it. And there's a problem there, guys. And I'm going to break down something for you to kind of prerequisite this whole thing. Both parties right now in their voters are completely fractured. And it's on the same lines. On the right, there's the populist and working class base, which that's the Trumps, the Trumpists, the people that will never leave Trump, that want to vote for him. Those are the kind of the working class and poor people that are more on righty cultural politics. Then there's the Mitt Romneys, who are the elites, the not populist, that will get all of the enormous funding from the very, very wealthy super PACs, and it's kind of like the old guard, okay? That group on the right is dying, and the Trumpists they were just born. That's the party. That's where the party's headed, whether they want it or not. On the left, that same thing is happening. You've got the Berners, in Camp 1, and they want progressive policies, very, very populist, but left culturally. And then you have your central camp, which is your basically Republican light, which is the people I just mentioned, the Buttigieg, the Klobuchars, the Bidens, that camp. And that group is gonna get all of the big dollar donations from people that are slightly on the left culturally, but still are ultra-capitalist and exploitative and stuff like that, and want money, want tax breaks for themselves, and don't want anything for poor people. That group is also a dying breed, and the Berners are the future, okay? Those camps that I just described to you, those 4 camps, if you ask anybody in politics nowadays, any voter, what they believe, they will fit into one of those camps, and they will not leave that camp for basically anything. And what Elizabeth Warren tried to do was try to pick off the people on the left or in the Democratic Party that were like wishy-washy on whether or not they could handle somebody like Biden or Bernie. Like, they're like, I just don't know. Bernie's got a lot of things I like, but Biden also has a lot of things that I like. I just don't know. I wish there was someone in between those two that I could really get the best of both worlds. That's not how this works, okay? Berners hate Elizabeth Warren because she doesn't go as far as Bernie on progressive policy, on anything. And centrists that would donate to somebody like Biden or Klobuchar, they hate Warren because she still wants to give higher taxes on the wealthy. So when they have an option to go for someone in the center, they're never going to pick Elizabeth Warren. There is nobody in between these two camps. That's why you lost, is because you decided to take a lane that wasn't there. Now, what you should have done, if you had any brains whatsoever, is that you should have read the winds, okay? You should have decided for yourself right around the time you destroyed Bernie and tried to call him a misogynist, even though he's your friend, and that all turned out to be true, you admitted later on, but I digress. Right around that time when you were smearing your friend, what you should have been doing is saying, listen, Bernie seems to be doing pretty well, okay? It looks like he might be the winner. At worst, he's going to be second place. You should have hitched your wagon to Bernie when he was leading, and then the worst that could have happened is if you had just adopted all of Bernie's policies and run on basically the same thing Bernie was, is that the Berners would have been confused enough, not confused, but they would have been like, okay, they seem to both be on board for Medicare for all and all these progressive policies. They're more or less the same. You might have come in second place, or you might have won over Bernie simply because you're a woman, because if you had his policies and people wanted a better chance of beating Trump, which I think if you're a woman, you have a better chance of beating Trump because of how misogynistic he is, you might have actually won or come in second place. In worst case scenario, you would have kept where you were at that time, which was doing pretty well, instead of tanking, and then if Bernie wins, you get a VP nod. After Bernie's in there for a couple of years, maybe you become president that way. But what did you do? You moved more center. You tried to distinguish yourself from the Berners, and they noticed, and you got no one wanted to vote for you after that. And then, of course, if you go right in between Bernie and the centrists will always pick somebody other than you unless you're the last option. So let's say that you were in second place and everybody else had to drop out because you and Bernie were taking up, 50% of the votes, and all the rest of them, 6 or 7 of them, were splitting the rest. What might have happened is Barack Obama making those calls for everybody to coalesce around Joe Biden at the last second. If you stayed on Bernie's platform and were in second place and there was no one else that was even close, what would have happened is that Barack Obama would have told all of those people to drop out and coalesce behind you. So that's where you made your error. And you might have won Bernie, even though via cheating, that way, had you just not abandoned your original platform and stuck with progressive principles. Because they were looking for anybody to take down Bernie at the last second. It just happened to fall on Biden, and at that point, you were already in 6th place. If you had been in 2nd place, and it was looking like the progressives were going to win, they were going to get either you or Bernie, Obama would have pulled those strings for everyone to rally behind you, and you might have actually been president. But because you moved to the center, you lost, you plummeted in the polls, you got your ass whooped in the first couple of states, you were in 6th place, and there was no way they were going to coalesce behind you. So what do? You get bitter, you're mad that people are calling you out for calling Bernie out on being a misogynist when he's not, and then you tank in the polls, and you can't win a goddamn thing, and it's exactly because of that. That's why you lost. It has nothing to do with misogyny built into the Democratic Party, or that they were worried that if you run another white woman against Donald Trump, that it was gonna sabotage the election and Trump was definitely gonna win. Bullshit. If anything, it was an advantage that you were a woman running against Trump in 2024. You lost because you're a poor strategist and an even worse politician. So I hope it was worth stabbing your friend Bernie in the back for, because at minimum you could be VP right now, or you might even be president if you hadn't pivoted towards the center. You ran in a lane that doesn't exist. That's why you lost. So you're insufferable. I can't believe you wrote a 300-page book on this bullshit. I honestly, between this and Hillary Clinton's book dictating what happened to her, I bet you they're more or less the same exact fucking thing. I bet you almost the exact same excuses. And so I'm sorry, you know, I gotta get you on this. I'm sorry, you know, you're just a horrible politician. You kneecapped Bernie, and then you have the balls to come out with a book that explains why Americans and Democrats in general are sexist, and that's the reason that they didn't go with you in the primaries. Get fucked, Liz Warren. Liz, you know that Elizabeth Warren's middle name is Medusa? It's not really. I just call her Medusa because she's Snake Woman. Anyway, I'm going to make at least one more episode tonight, guys, but I had to sucker punch her on this. Yeah. You lost because you're a poor politician and you ran in a lane that doesn't exist, bitch.